After a few cruises, you start to realize that there's probably a few simple things that you can do to make your cruise experience so much better, but you usually don't learn them right away. On this channel, I share practical tips on how you can spend smarter, pack calmly, and cruise better. In this video, I'd like to share with you some simple hacks that experienced cruisers have learned to use right away to have a really great experience. Once you get to your room, one of the things that experienced cruisers do is they'll look for a way to personalize their front door. And it's kind of fun to do that. But what's really helpful is if you put any kind of magnets that you brought on from a prior cruise or experience, it's a great thing to do because when you're going down these really long corridors, it makes it very easy to spot your room, which is a great thing to do and also just kind of personalizes the experience. Once you're inside the room, it's great to use simple magnet style hooks on the inside of your door. And we find them to be really helpful to put like a sweater or a lightweight jacket, because oftentimes you're running out to go to an excursion or maybe you're going to a movie and you could just find that you need something a little bit more, you might be a little bit cold. And having them right on that door is a quick reminder. The same thing is true as hats, which you might not regularly wear, but if you're going to be sitting out in the sun a long time or going on an excursion, really helpful. And the last thing we think about might be like that bag that we're going to use to either go on to an excursion or to basically go around the ship, maybe go to the pool. Having that bag hung up there is another quick reminder so that when you're ready to go, you have everything you need right there as a quick reminder. It's fun to shop for things when you're at the different cruise ports. But sometimes the selection that you're looking for is not always there. And usually we'll pay a little bit more money for the items at the ports. And then, of course, you already have a suitcase that's totally packed. And sometimes you wonder, am I going to really have space for this? For example, one time we were in Scotland and there's some beautiful scarves. Well, I happened to look online at Amazon when we were there and found out the same scarves were just a little bit less. They're made in Scotland, and the variety was so much better. And I thought, well, that's something I can order now. It can be waiting for me when I get home and be a great thing to give. I found the same thing was true when I was looking for certain kinds of chocolates or cookies. One time we were in Switzerland and I wanted to bring back some Lindt chocolate, which is my favorite chocolate. A lot of my family's members love it. Well, before we went on the trip, I happened to be in Costco and found that they carried the same chocolate that on the bars it said it was made in Switzerland. So I thought, well, I could get it here a lot cheaper, but also fresher because it would be going straight from the store to the home as opposed to be packed in my luggage. And then, of course, there's always the issue of packing it on your bag and how helpful that's going to be with so much stuff in your bag. So sometimes it's best to think about, well, what are some of the things you want to get, but can you have them brought to you at home? That way you're also saving all the precious time that you have at the ports from searching for those things and waiting in long lines. You already have some of those items covered. If you decided to get off in a port and maybe not book a specific excursion, one thing we like to do in advance is to go online and to download a port map, a detailed map that we have so that we've already decided, well, here's some things that, according to ChatGPT, would be fun to do. So we can look for those things and then have a simple map that we're ready to go when we get off the cruise ship. Now, many times when you're in a port, there's a lot of people handing out different maps and different things. But again, it's a lot of people getting off the cruise ship, a lot of people coming at you with different things. And we like to already have kind of figured out, well, here's the things that we'd like to do for the most part. And we have a map so we can just go at it and start our experience. Now, that doesn't mean that there might be a spontaneous thing that we'll see later in the day that we want to do. But to get our day off and running and to make the most of the day, we like to have a map that we've downloaded in advance. Some cruise ships will give you a simple lanyard that you can use to include your room key. I find lanyards to be very helpful because when you're getting off a ship, usually you need to have some kind of ID, like a driver's license, and then you want to take a credit card, preferably one that doesn't have foreign transaction fees, and then your room key. Those three things usually fit very nicely and easily in that lanyard, so you can quickly swipe your lanyard as you're getting on and off the ship, and it makes it really fast and easy. So I found that when I've gotten one of those lanyards at one of the cruise ships, I will just automatically keep it in my suitcase so that regardless of which cruise line I'm going on next, I can reuse that lanyard and have the convenience of on and off, very smooth departure and onboarding back on the cruise ship. On every cruise ship in the rooms, it's pretty limiting in terms of the number of outlets you might have. And if several people are cruising and staying in the same cabin room, everybody's trying to recharge their phone because you want to get to the cruise app or other things while you're on board. And you might have other things to plug in, maybe a hair dryer. My husband has always brought a larger outlet charger, recharger piece that we can use. And just having that USB portal really makes it much more convenient for us when we're using various electronics. Sometimes we've even brought a small iPad where we want to watch movies and having a recharger for that as well. It is important to note that there's certain restrictions of what certain cruises will allow you to bring. And so you want to check with your cruise line to find out what's appropriate, because we have had situations where we didn't bring the specific right one for that particular cruise line. They have scanned it in our bags and we couldn't pick it up until we returned when we got back to the original point of debarkation. So we always make sure to check what's allowed and then find something that will fit within their standards. On the last day before you're going to depart, you obviously have to collect everything in your bag and usually put out your bags the night before. So if we've maybe gone to the hot tub that afternoon or a water sport of any type or used the pool, you end up having a lot of wetsuits sitting around. So one thing we've invested in is a really inexpensive wet bag. It's something that you can just quickly get, throw your things in there. And then when you're packing, everything that you're packing doesn't get spoiled by the wet clothes that you also need to bring home. Very expensive, very easy to find, just something to make things a lot easier. I hope you found these cruise hacks to be helpful so you can cruise easier. So cruise smarter so your next cruise will be your best cruise. And I hope to see you cruising with Susan.